Hi, I'm Dave Layfield with Affordable Housing Online. Welcome to our weekly Section 8 update. We monitor the internet and social media continuously, looking for all the most recent Section 8 waiting list openings so you don't have to. You can follow us on Twitter, Google+, YouTube, you can sign up for our weekly email alert, and you can visit our website frequently to find the most recent waiting list openings. Be sure to watch the whole video. At the end, we'll do our user-submitted question of the week. And this week, the question is, what is a waiting list lottery? Then we'll also go into our tip of the week. And this week, we're going to talk about how you should start your apartment shopping right after the holidays. Today is Wednesday, December 10th, 2014, and right now we're tracking 104 open Section 8 waiting lists across the country, 6 more that are opening soon, and 8 that closed in the last 30 days. So let's move on into our opening soon waiting list. First off is Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority's waiting list hasn't been open for about 3 years now, and they're opening their waiting list on December 16th, and it'll be open through the 19th. It's an online-only application. It's a random lottery, and you can check out all the details on our Cincinnati and our Cincinnati Housing Authority pages. The next Section 8 waiting list I want to tell you about is in Lexington, Kentucky. The Lexington-Fayette Urban County Housing Authority is opening its Section 8 waiting list for the first time in, say, 4 years. 2010 was the last time it was opened. They're opening it from January 5th through the 9th, 2015. It's an online-only application, and they're offering preferences for anyone who isn't currently housed in assisted. The next waiting list I want to talk about is a big one, Atlanta, Georgia. The Atlanta Housing Authority hasn't opened its Section 8 waiting list since 2001. That's 13 years. They're opening their waiting list on January 6th. It's going to stay open through the 13th, and it's an online-only application. There is a specific work requirement, meaning anyone 18 to 61 must be employed full-time, be a full-time student, or both. And any seniors, 62 or older, are exempt from that rule. We're going to be doing some extended coverage of Atlanta as we lead up to its opening the first part of the year. And we're actually in talks with the Atlanta Housing Authority right now about doing a Google Hangout where we're going to ask a series of questions. And we'd like to get your input and get some questions from you also. Go ahead and submit some questions into us that we can ask the Atlanta Housing Authority when we do our Google Hangout. And for more information on the Atlanta opening, go to our Atlanta pages on Affordable Housing Online. So on to our question of the day, and this is a big one. What is a waiting list lottery anyway? Well, because there's so many people that are in need of housing assistance, but as of yet, our federal government hasn't allocated nearly enough funding to serve everyone. That forces housing providers like housing authorities to only choose a fraction of those in need. The only fair way to do that is through something called a lottery. Basically, the housing authority opens up an application process for, say, a week or so. They take applications from everyone who's interested. For example, in Chicago, they had something like 280,000 people apply. They don't have nearly that many vouchers to hand out. So what they did was they chose via random lottery a small portion of those 280,000 people who applied. And they do that through a computer program. So every person that applies is given a random number. The computer chooses that random number, and if through the lottery they're fortunate enough to have their number chosen, they're added to the waiting list. Most housing authorities are going to they're going to set the number of slots chosen in the lottery based on how many vouchers they think they're going to need over the next couple of years. And that's going to be based, of course, on the number of vouchers they have to hand out and the amount of turnover they have each year. So, for example, the Atlanta Housing Authority is opening up its waiting list in the first part of January, and they're creating 10,000 slots. They're going to get far more than 10,000 applications, but 10,000 folks are going to be randomly chosen to be added to the waiting list. So I hope that answered that question for our user out in Alabama that had a question about that. So on to my affordable housing shopping tip of the week. And my tip this week is go apartment shopping right after the holidays. Now, the peak rental season is not in December, January, and February. That is the low season. Most people don't want to go apartment shopping during that time. But believe it or not, that's when you find the best deals. See, people still move out in December and January. They still get kicked out, and landlords still have to fill those vacancies. And the landlords don't want to wait until March or April to fill them. Well, that's where you come in. You go in, you go shopping, apartment shopping after the holidays, the first week of January or so. You're going to actually find better rent bargains then than when you go shopping in March, April, or May. So, right after the holidays, go out there and start looking around. So, happy holidays, happy new year. Thanks for watching the Section 8 update, and look out for our next update that's going to happen after the new year. We hope that we brought you a little bit closer to home.